So my name is Sean, and I am a regional program manager. And then I also work with national organizations like the Chief Science Officers Initiative. As the National Inventors Hall of Fame, we're a nonprofit, and we have a mission to honor inventors, promote creativity, and advance the spirit of innovation and entrepreneurship. We do partner with the United States Patent and Trademark Office. So I know when you all go to DC, stopping by our museum in Alexandria, Virginia is one of the things that you've done in the past. So part of that mission is why we're working with the Chief Science Officers. It's that promoting creativity and advancing that spirit of innovation and entrepreneurship, which I know is a lot of what you all do in your school districts. So it's a great fit for sharing everything. So we're just going to jump right into a little activity, and you have an inventor's log, and it looks like this, right? Yep, perfect. So in your inventor's log, I want you to kind of brainstorm and think about what your CSO superpower might be. And there's a list of different kind of names or superhero strengths. These are just suggestions to help get you going. You can come up with your own. So I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes to think about that, of what your CSO superpower might be.
So can I use these like as examples?
You can use them, absolutely. So they're absolutely. I just wanted you to know that you've got some creative license there.
Okay, so I just thought of two, like using the first, middle, and last name.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think for the first name, I said incredible. Yeah, incredible.
Perfect.
Middle name, I think brilliant or maybe vibrant.
Oh, I like vibrant.
Yeah, and then the last name I said experimentator or experimenter.
Experimenter. So the incredible, vibrant experimenter.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. All right. So we now have your superpower and your superpower name. So you've written it in your inventor's log, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So are you ready for a challenge?
Yeah.
Okay. So the bag that had all that fun stuff in it with the blocks and the styrofoam blocks and the battery and what looks like a motor. So I want you to kind of dump all that out on your desk. And then the one thing that maybe we forgot to mention is, do you have any masking tape or tape accessible to you and scissors?
I don't, yeah, I have like this type of tape and
Okay.
but I don't have like hot glue.
You're fine. That's perfect. That should be helpful. You may want a glue gun at some point when you, after we are done, you might want to play around a little bit and add some more things to what you're going to be creating, but you don't have to worry about that right now. So in your bag, you have several items. So you've got some pipe cleaners, a cork, some toothpicks, a battery, the styrofoam blocks, and the feathers. So what you're going to do, you just created your superhero persona, right? So the incredible, vibrant experimenter. So what we want you to do is create your little sidekick. So a little creature that goes along with your superhero alter ego, okay? So this is the criteria, and we can help you through this, but we want you to get started just looking at what you have and thinking about what it needs to do. So you're going to make, your creature has to move in some way. It can hop, shake, or rattle. We want you to use at least 6 items in the bag. It must have a power source, and we want you to give your creature a name. this is what we're working towards. So the motor connected to the battery, and then this is not necessarily what everyone's creature looks like. This is just an example of how maybe you could put one together. So what I really would love to know is, as you're looking at these, and let's say the motor worked, right? So can you see on the motor what actually would be moving if there was a battery source attached to it?
So like this, there's like a rod, and then there's a cork thing, and then you put, like, I think a toothpick, and then stick it on the foam somewhere. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. So do you know what concept we would be looking at here?
I think, well, since it's so much attached, I think it's like an offset, so it makes, when it's moving, it provides like an offset weight, so then it, you know, kind of wiggles up and down.
You are so smart. Do you know what that's called?
No.
Counterbalance. But you hit it right on the head. So good for you. So that is exactly the science concept that we're looking at here. So the fun thing about this activity is, as you would move through it, that's what we're talking about is STEM, right? So you just talked about the science. We've got some technology in there, which is the motor, and also the circuitry and the power source. And then, you know, there's also the A that we didn't really talk about, the art. So why do you think you have feathers?
You know, to kind of creatively like design it in your own way. How do you want it to look?
Yes. So when it was a larger group of people, everyone had the exact same materials and information that you have, but because they were all working individually and coming off of using their own superpower persona to make their sidekick, everyone's looked completely different, but they all had their same materials. So when we start talking to you all about our programs and how maybe you would want to represent those in your school district, and maybe bring, you know, introduce us to one of your administrators to think about bringing a program. This is a great example of how everything we do, the students have access to the exact same materials, but everything looks different because of the way that we present the curriculum and the materials. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm really sad that your motor's not working. So in the information that I sent you this big folder, right?
Yeah.
So that is just to show you who the National Inventors Hall of Fame, who we are and what we do. And then in the back, there were a bunch of kind of information sheets about our programs. So as we move forward and you all start working on your action plans, we're going to be coming back together and talking about, this would have been a different conversation before the pandemic, but there's some things have changed. So we've got some new things to share with you all, and hopefully we can make make it as simple as possible to talk about the National Inventors Hall of Fame and the different things that we offer and resources to make that part of your action plan. Would you like to include anything, say anything more about that part of it, Kelly?
Idea behind this, Saiba, is that we have a NIF, National Inventors Hall of Fame group that really fosters, like you're fostering for the Math Festival, right? Ideas to engage in creative STEM activities. Make sense?
Yeah.
An example of what a teacher made, their little creature. So in your inventors log, so maybe today you can think about the materials that you have, maybe draw the design of how you might put everything together. So this is part of design thinking, right? Before you put everything together, you kind of sketch it out and ideate. So think about what your little superhero sidekick might look like. And you've named yourself. So maybe come up with a superpower logo that would represent your name, your superpower persona, and then come up with a name for your sidekick and what their logo might look like. So think about Batman Robin, right? And
Yeah.
then, yeah, design a logo. So that's all about entrepreneurship and intellectual property. So what I'm leading you towards is talking about trademarks and what intellectual property means. So you probably recognize a lot of these, right?
Yeah.
So do you see that little circle R by Starbucks?
Yeah.
And do you see the TM by UPS?
Yes.
So do you know what the difference between those two are?
No, I think, well, one of, maybe one of them is like company, like a company led thing, and then one was like with, started off by one person and then kind of expanded maybe.
Oh, you know what? That would be a really good way to think about it. So let me put it in a different way. So it's when a company is starting out and they want to show ownership of their name or logo. So that UPS TM, I simply put that there just to show the difference, but UPS has now got a registered trademark. So if you're starting out and say you wanted to claim ownership of your superhero persona, right? The name. And Vibrant, what was the first one? First name?
Incredible.
Incredible, vibrant experimenter. So if you wanted today to say, I own that name, if you write it out and when you do your logo, if you yourself just put a little TM next to it, that's all you need to do. But if you're a big company and you want to claim the rights to your trademark and your logo because you're making money, right? And you don't want anybody else to make money off of what that looks like, then you put in an application, a trademark application to the United States Patent and Trademark Office. And if they deem that it's unique enough and nobody else is using it, then they will trademark that for you. And so that is a formal document that shows ownership. So you can own ideas, you can own artwork, you can own, creative outlets, so to speak, or things that you create. So that's what intellectual property is all about. And that's what the trademark. So TM, you can do it and it shows that you're claiming ownership and that you may or may not be putting it toward an application to the United States Patent and Trademark Office to own that trademark. Make sense?
Yeah.
So you see all of these on here. Do you see this one on the far right?
The blue one?
Yeah, what does that stand for?
I think it's a Bluetooth.
You're right. So Bluetooth was invented by Jaap Hartsen. And his superpower is communication. So Jaap Hartsen is one of the inductees into the National Inventors Hall of Fame. So this is just to illustrate that patents, which Bluetooth is a patented invention, is accompanied now with a logo that is representative of Bluetooth, and everybody recognizes that in the world. And that he is a guru in communication. That's what he does. So that's what the United States Patent and Trademark Office is all about. So protecting the rights of people who create something new, not only for inventions, but the artwork and the logos and everything that goes behind that. So that's where we are. So do you have any questions for me or anything that needs a little more clarification maybe?
So I was wondering, you were talking about something called patents or something. What are those?
A patent?
Yeah.
So a patent is when someone invents something new and they want to own the intellectual property rights. They want to claim that they own the patent. So for instance, my cup here. So you know how Yeti was one of the first makers. You started seeing this doubled steel wall all of these new drinking things that come out, this is a patented process. So whoever invented this process first owns the patent to it. Now what happens is once the patent is there, it is made public. People can iterate and innovate against that patent, but they still have to do something new for their innovation to be patentable. So it always has to be new, novel, and useful, or novel and useful.
So is that, and you were talking about the TM and the R, is it kind of like R because you want to show that you're
No, actually the R is for the trade, just a trademark. To be a patent, so I'm going to show you, if you look at, say, your laptop on the back, which your eyes are younger than mine, there's going to be a patent number. Let me do this. Let me show you as we go through. That's what Design Thinking Project is all about in Camp Invention this year, and it's got some really great things. And maybe you're giving me some ideas of maybe the next time we meet, we do a deeper dive into intellectual property literacy for your kiddos. I think, just on a side note, I think that would be extremely helpful for them, just that education. So why don't we think about doing that?
Excellent idea.
Okay. So if you went to uspto.gov, do you see how there's patents, trademarks are up here?
Yeah.
A patent, there's also some learning resources on here. So where is, so they've got some education. They have varied, oh, kids and educators, here we go. So see, Camp Invention is on here. That we have a partnership with the United States Patent and Trademark Office. So there are some activities that can show you exactly what a patent is. So let's go to teens. And here's kind of a spot the invention, which I've never done this before, but you might want to noodle around on this website and it'll give you some insight. It doesn't go as in depth, but say for instance, that invention, did you know that the poinsettia was actually an invention? So plants can have patents, which I think is just amazing. So click on that one, and here's a patent drawing from early on, so 1934, that shows obviously a fan, and this had to be presented with a patent application so that they could show that they had a new invention that worked differently than anything else that had ever been invented. So see this patent number right here, or see this number right here? That's a patent number. And that's given to this inventor from the Patent and Trademark Office. Do you know how many there are now? Do you know how many patents have been issued?
No, well, is it like 10 million maybe?
Oh my gosh, how did you know that? It's over 10 million.
Oh,
How did you know that?
I don't know. I just kind of like, it was 2 million in like 1934, and there's like been like a ton more stuff. So I just said, let's go with 10 million.
Oh my gosh, you're so smart. Do you know that patents every year, it increases, I think by like 35 or 40%, the number of patents that are submitted, or the number of applications that are submitted. They don't all get patents because it has to pass through their motion or their process. So
is the number, this number 2,386, is it like this is the 2,386 patent, or is it?
yes, yes, they are numbered in order of how they are awarded.
That's a lot.
Who was, do you know who the first patent might have been?
The first one, maybe like 1800 or 1700.
But do you know what it might have been for?
I think, no, I can't think that early. I don't know what people would use that early. Maybe like the wheel or something.
It was actually for potash. It's an ingredient used in fertilizer. Isn't that crazy? And the patent was signed by George Washington. Thomas Edison is known as the most prolific inventor in modern times. So there you go. Does that help kind of solidify what a patent is?
Yeah.
Okay, good deal. Do you have any other questions for me? I'm really excited. I think that thinking about doing
Another opportunity of like, what are we going to do next?
Yes, now we know.
I don't think when school starts up and like when we're able to start meeting, so I can actually meet with people and do an action plan, I would think maybe I would do this activity just to start off and let them know about what this is, because no one at my school really knew about it. We don't have it in our region, so I think this would be a good introductory.
Talk to you soon.
It was so nice meeting you.
You too. Yeah, I'll finish like making this.
Hi, my name is Haley, and I'm a Chief Science Officer from Oregon. Today, I had the incredible opportunity to participate in a Zoom call, which was a collaboration between the National Inventors Hall of Fame and the Chief Science Officer International Program. We did what I'm going to call the Superhero and Sidekick project. I think that my superpower is planning, so I decided my superhero name would be the Powerful Organized Planner. I also created my sidekick. She's kind of the idea of my personal assistant, which is a clipboard to help me plan and stay organized. I'm looking forward to a collaboration between the NIHF and CSO program in the future.
Hi everyone, this is Chief Science Officer Marissa, and I am filming this right after jumping off a call with Sean from the National Inventors Hall of Fame, where we did this fun activity from her Camp Invention curriculum. So the activity we did was that she gave us materials including motors, some feathers, bells, little pegs, toothpicks, and we had to create a creature that moved, shook, jiggled, spinned, and that creature was supposed to be our sidekick to our CSO superhero name. So the first activity was we had to come up with a name, right? So I chose to name myself the Brilliant Collaborator because as a CSO and as a person in general, I really value everyone collaborating, everyone having a voice and really having a role. Because, two is better than one, or 5 is better than 1. However many people you have in a group, it's better than just being yourself or just being by yourself when you're working on something. So the creature I made, I want to share with you today, is right here. His name's EC. You might have heard him in the video spinning and buzzing. And now I named him EC because that stands for Excited Collaborator. So he goes pretty well with me as my sidekick. That's why his mouth, if you see, is moving so fast because he's constantly talking and excited. You guys probably have seen me be like that where I'm talking a mile a minute. But I put some feathers around him for decoration. I have his little ears, which are like little jingle bells. Again, his eyes and his little mouth that's moving down here. And when I flip him over under the hood, you can see the motor here. So it's off right now because because of how it's positioned. Oh, it got on. But I was able to use some circuits and some tape to keep this all together right here. So it'll allow the motor to spin and let EC have his mouth. So it was a really cool activity. I would never usually pick up a circuit on my own, but this was a great learning opportunity. And it opened up a lot of discussions for how can we as CSOs or we as students, just to begin with, do these kinds of activities and what we can take away from it. So as I'm wrapping up this video, I would like to think about, I would like you, CSOs, to think about, could you do this at school? Could you do this with your family? What items around the house could you do something like this with? And big shout out to Sean. She's such an amazing person. I'm very excited to see how the relationship between National Inventors Hall of Fame and CSOs goes. I think this is going to be pretty exciting for everyone. So again, this is EC, and EC and I, the brilliant collaborator, am saying goodbye and stay safe.
CSOs, don't just hope it happens.
Make it happen.